because it came to me in a dream that the book should be called Zest Your Life. And then somebody asked me if there was an acronym and that I should make one up. And it's perfect and it's very adaptable. So the Z is to zero, or Z, depending on where you are. I'm in Canada.
Yeah.
To zero in on exactly what you want, because that's how your dreams come true. That's how your dreams are manifested. Everything starts in the imagination. And so you need to imagine what you want and zero in on exactly what you want. See it like it's already happened. It's like an orange. Like if you imagine that taste of the orange in your mouth, you can already taste it. You're salivating because you can imagine it closely enough, or the smell of the orange as you peeled it. The E is to get excited and emotional. All of our memories are attached to an emotion. Good memories, bad memories. There's an emotional attachment. If there's no emotion, we're probably going to forget it. That's why somebody says, how did you forget my birthday? There was no emotional attachment. But if somebody forgets your birthday, there's emotional attachment to it. The S is for success. Success any way you want it. You're the one that defines success for yourself, not be judged by other people's success or their definition of whether or not you are successful. And when you zero in, get excited, define success your way, then you will transcend and transform your life to a higher, better place.
Wow, I love that. I want to read another page, 168. These zesters bring fast, proven results. They each release endorphins and oxytocin to the brain to make you feel good in all aspects, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Speak to yourself and others with kindness. Help others find comfort and happiness. Forgive yourself for the times when you let go of your zest and your beautiful, positive thoughts. Let go of the fear. That's a huge one. And find love. That's where zest is. In times of conflict or fear, open your heart and flood the space with love. Practice doing that now. You are safe. Stand up. Open your hands and your heart. Open your arms and flood the space with love. Pull it all in and put your hands on your heart. Can you feel the difference in you and in the space around you? Heart, heart, heart. I love that. Can you tell me more about the zesters?
When I do my workshops, I give out hearts. And when I do my retreats, and then you'll open your purse and hearts are falling out of your purse. And then every time you see a heart, you'll be reminded of it. Dr. Joe Vitale of The Secret, who endorsed my book, he talked about the zesters on the back of the book. He says, applying Linda's zesters, they really do work. So if you're at a point in your life where you don't know where to turn or what to do, this book is the breakthrough you've been looking for. So zesters are all those little things that, well, just like your family did, that's a zester. It brings you joy just tossing oranges. You know, it could be walking down the street and saying good morning to someone, saying thank you to your barista. It could be your own individual rituals that you do in the morning. For me, it's lighting my smudge and creating sacred spaces I call in the 4 directions. So whatever, those are all zesters. I've been talking about dressing for blessing. When you put something on and it makes you feel great, that could be a zester. So you have your own. That walk in the woods you can take that, or in the snow, Melissa, then that's a zester. Just appreciating where you are when you're standing there in nature. I was walking in the snow this morning, and just to appreciate the beauty around us. And the smell is all different. And that warms us up inside. Those are zesters. And there's a lot of them in the book for the different areas. But zesters can be anything you make them to be, whatever makes you feel good and makes others around you, naturally, they'll pick up that vibe and they'll feel good.
It is a very positive, uplifting, affirming book. I love it. And I go to it many times. One of the things you mentioned just now was creating a sacred space. And we talked earlier about doing that, how we can do that at home. And you suggested, well, why don't we do it when we start the show? So before we do that ceremony, I just wanted to welcome people that perhaps might be joining us live on Facebook. Maybe you saw on my personal Facebook and might be saying, what is she doing? What is this grateful goddess thing? Or you know about it and you're joining us and you're here again, or you're on our actual live audience. We welcome you. Grateful Goddesses is a place where we talk to people and learn lessons from them, all about all of the qualities we have inside of us and helping us to bring them out, to bring them forward. And Linda is going to help us with zest, help us to be positive and just, again, like going to create this sacred space. But before we do that, Linda, why is it important to create a sacred space?
It creates an energy dome. And as we know, everything is energy. And if you can create that energy over you and create that powerful space, and that's what we're going to do tonight with all of us. And I do this when I have my retreats or my women's wisdom circles. We always open the circle by calling in the 4 directions and creating sacred space. And I just want to be sure, some people think calling in the directions is an Aboriginal thing. It is, but it's not only the Aboriginals of North America that have been doing this. People have been doing this all over the world for centuries. My in-laws are from Slovakia, and on Christmas Eve, when they were children, they didn't have much candy, so they had dried peas, and they used to throw the peas. We still serve peas on Christmas Eve. They used to throw peas in the 4 directions. So it's that honoring of the 4 directions.
Well, can I throw the clementines in the 4?
You can. We cook the peas now, although I have been known to throw cooked peas.
So let's do that ceremony with the people that are joining us. And if you are watching on, Facebook, you can put your phone just down and you can do this with us as well. If you'd like to join our live audience, you can register even right now at pulver.com and join us right now in the live audience to be part of this discussion and ask questions in the chat. Okay, Linda, I'm turning it to you.
Okay, I'm just going to turn on my light and grab my smudge. I've gotten darker and darker in here. I feel like I'm sitting in the darkened room. So what I always do is I do have, that's better. Now I can see myself. I do always light a candle. That's part of my daily rituals. And then I have this beautiful turkey feather. I lived in the country and this was gifted to me. There's my lighter. And I combine both, calling the directions, and the smoke in the smudge is significant because it connects us from the earth, and the items in here, we're all from Mother Earth, to the spirit world, so we can say our prayers.
So
and I hope
while you're doing this virtually for us, even though we're not doing it, you're doing it for the Grateful Goddess tonight, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So it's okay, friends, if you don't have all these items, although you can do it yourself next time, but this is for our evening tonight. Go ahead.
And even if all you have is a feather or just the intent of calling in the 4 directions.
Okay.
And we call in the 4 and then we call 2 more.
Okay.
So I always face the east to start with. That's the way I was taught. And I call in the powers, and it's the powers of each direction. Or you can say the goddess of each direction. You can say the God, the divine, whatever makes you feel more connected. So I call in the powers of the east for illumination, enlightenment, to be here now. And then I turn to the south and I call in the powers of the south for trust and innocence. So we can have fun and be playful as we were children, to look at life with trust and innocence. And then I call in the powers of the west for intuition and introspection, to really be able to trust myself, to know that voice inside me is giving me a good message. And I keep turning clockwise because we're in the Northern Hemisphere. When you're south of the equator, you could do it counterclockwise. And I call in the powers of the north for logic, knowledge, and wisdom. And I call in the ancestors who love me to stand by me and to care for me. I call in the as above and all that is blue, and ask it to marry with the so below and all that is green and be as one. It is done in beauty. So we call in 6 directions, because the as above and the so below are also considered directions. And I do this every day before, as part of my meditation.
Every morning?
Every morning.
And then you meditate.
And then I do meditation. And we're going to talk more about a piece of my meditation a little later.
And how does this make you feel when you do it?
It connects me to those elements. When I say the East for illumination and enlightenment, that's really what I'm looking for. It opens up my heart, and it opens my mind up to receive, so that I become that chalice, that vessel that is ready to receive the messages that are coming to me, the creativity, the work that I need to do, the connections that I need to make. Whatever it is that's going to come into my day, I want to have all of those powers with me to do it.
Have you ever forgotten or missed a day?
Oh, yeah. Some days I do. If I'm on the road, I don't bring my smudge with me. Most hotels don't like it when you start lighting smudge.
The smudge, yeah, no, but that's a beautiful ritual to do every morning. And I didn't write it down, but I'm going to look back at this recording and write it down to do. And I'd like to ask you now a little bit more about your vision quest in 2003. You were introduced to formal shamanic studies, which, as you said, gave you a container, a chalice for your I'm having trouble reading, for your extensive explorations, past life memories of ancient women's teaching, confidence in your intuition and connection to the divine. And you discovered your soul's purpose, which is to be of service in love and beauty. Can you expand on that for us?
Well, it's interesting that you're asking me about this, because someone just asked me to write an article, and I'd already written one. I just had never taken it out of my computer. So you'll see it soon, about my very first vision quest. I was 53 years old, and it was yesterday. No,
I was going to say, okay.
So I'd forgotten about this until I read the piece today, but I was 53. Our children were grown up and out of the house, and there was an emptiness. There was not an emptiness, but more like a gap, when there was just something missing, and I didn't know what it was. And at the time, we lived in a house in the forest, and I kept going into the forest and connecting and doing that, but I felt like there was something missing, like there was ancient teachings. I started reading things like the Book of Avalon and things that about goddesses and about other female role models that I had never had in my life. I got to see Jean Shibota Boland just before that, and she wrote Goddesses in Every Woman. And I started to relate to that, but I didn't have any formal teachings. I was teaching myself through books, but it wasn't enough. And when the opportunity came up for me to go camping with about 60 other people on a beautiful piece of property in Northern Ontario in Canada, I jumped at the chance. That was pretty interesting, because I hadn't pitched a tent in about 20 years. And as I arrived, there were magnificent monarch butterflies everywhere. So I had to repitch my tent about 3 or 4 times to try to find a spot where I wouldn't disturb the monarch butterflies, and it wasn't so lumpy and bumpy, so I could get a good night's sleep. And then there we had a couple of ceremonies. We gathered in an old barn that had been renovated, and they gave us some teachings. And we were told to go out and walk around, get lost in the land. And I thought, oh, that's okay, because I'm used to living in a forest and walking in the land. Many of these people were urbanites and had not ever done that. They didn't go very far from the barn. I went far away, as far as I could find the trail. So that was a really strong experience of somebody else's land, somebody else's property. And then we did a couple of powerful ceremonies. One of them was the hole in the ground, night on the hole in the ground. So it's exactly what it sounds like. you dig a hole about the size of a coffin, and you're given some instructions, you're given some questions to answer, and it's to have you explore death and dying and illness. And
you lie in that hole
all night by yourself.
with bugs and everything.
Well, there weren't really any bugs because you're covered with the tarp.
Okay. Wow.
And it was so hot.
I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could do that.
I didn't know I could do it either. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't know.
No pillow, nothing. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I had a sleeping bag, so I rolled up my clothes in the sleeping bag and you put that under your head if you like.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, tell us more.
Okay, so that was one ceremony.
Yeah.
And then the next morning I woke up, I got up because I didn't sleep all night. You're answering questions, you're dozing off, but not a lot. I was just so grateful I got through it. It's like, yes, I did it. I shocked myself. I really did, because of all of the hangups as a child. And that's really what the 6 years of the shamanic studies taught me, was all of those things that you think you can't do. Well, maybe that's just not true. Maybe there's more to you. And as I discovered this, I discovered there was more to me. And then we had one night, I didn't have ceremony. The next night, this was during the big blackout in Ontario, Michigan, if you recall that. It was at that time. And then my next ceremony was called the Night on the Mountain of Fear. And you had to sit up all night by yourself, alone in the forest. This time you're not covered with a blanket or anything. And there were bugs. There were bugs. So I chose to sit in my camping chair, and I had my bug jacket on. I had my baseball cap to keep the bug jacket out, but the mosquitoes were so aggressive that they would come and then they would back up and they'd put it on turbo power to be able to attack you. It was like, I stayed up all night just saying prayers, watching nature, watching the stars come out, watching the moon come out. And somebody else that I met later wanted to go on the vision quest, and they said, well, didn't you see any wild animals? I said, well, just the elephants were feeding on the raspberries, but they walked right through. Now, there are no elephants in Northern Ontario. And she was like a little surprised, but that was one of the visions I had, was this herd of elephants walking through, which I knew was a vision and not something that was really happening. And again, when I stepped out of that space, it felt so powerful to be doing something that would have absolutely terrified me. And it did terrify me when I sat there at first. And to be able to control those jitters and those fears, it's a huge accomplishment to be able to have control over your mind and your body and not collapse into that fear.
How did you control those? I mean, I'm thinking, like, I guess you had to slow your breathing and just sit in it.
Although I'm a recovering Catholic, I remembered all my prayers that night.
Oh, that's incredible.
And it was just the monotony of retelling the prayers again and again, and trying to remember the words and then making up new prayers. It was just, then I just started talking to myself, talking about what I was looking for, all of that. It was like there were two voices. There was the voice out here, and then there was the voice in here. Mm-hmm. And the voice out here was listening to my soul, was talking to me. And it was telling me there was more for my life than what I had done so far. And that was when I was first introduced to my sacred contract. And there's more to life.
And that's when you realized what your soul purpose was. Yeah. But you also have a story, and you're such a great storyteller, Linda, by the way, about when you went skiing.
I'd been sick for 3 years, and that was before I went on Vision Quest. And it all starts to shake down. We build those walls around ourselves, and then you start to feel you've got little cracks happening, and then pretty soon, the walls of Jericho come tumbling down. Mm-hmm. And that's when you start to get the message that you need to do something. So I had been sick for 3 years. They didn't know what was wrong with me. All they knew was abnormal brain waves on the left side of my brain. And then I started to feel gradually, I felt a little bit better. And I went skiing one day. And I was sitting at the top of Mont Tremblant. I fell sound asleep. It was lunch.
Right.
So I was sitting there with my friend. I fell sound asleep. And he had to give me a good hard shake to wake me up. And he was quite concerned because he knew I'd been sick. And when I got up, then I could ski. I had so much power. And at the time, I wasn't that great a skier. And we skied black diamonds. I said, you go ahead and I'll follow you. And all of a sudden, all that energy that had not been there for 3 years, it felt like it was just had been dormant. And then it rumbled up inside of me. And that's when I discovered that that was the zest. And life's too short to live without zest.
Well, that's how I feel. I mean, we all have our way of talking about it. And for me, it's Grateful Goddesses and just kind of stepping out of your box and trying new things and realizing what's inside of you. I think we were talking about this the other day, and we had this nice connection that we're all messengers of bringing this to people. Like, we've all had our life experiences, good and bad. And why not share it with people so that we can learn lessons and we can try new things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what we're going to work on tonight is getting out of your head and into your heart and reconnecting to your womb. This is what you suggested that we're going to do. So tell us what this means and what we're going to do with it.
This is one of my favorite things to do when my head is spinning. And you said, like, how do you get control of that fear? And now this is what I do if anything comes by. And I'm pretty good now, over 90%. I'm all right. But every once in a while, there's a 2% that wants to come in and just grab me by the hair. Mm-hmm. And so here's what we're all going to do together. We're just going to take a deep breath, of course, and exhale. And I want you to put your hand on your head, right on your third eye, and just watch all those thoughts that are whirling through your head. And just grab one. Just grab one thought. Breathe in and drop that thought into your heart as you exhale. Sit with it in your heart and just sense the different feeling that you have about that thought. And now take a deep breath, and as you exhale, drop it into your womb space. And even men have a womb space, even they came from one. So we all have a womb space, even if our womb has been surgically removed or you're a man, you still have a womb space. It's your second chakra. And feel the different sensation. Can you even recall what was going on in your head as you pulled it down from your head to your heart and to your womb space? So move your hand down and then down. And feel how that changes the energy of our body when we move it down. And it's sort of a contradiction because you would think that the third eye would be the place of calm. But as you bring it down to your heart and into your womb, it also brings you that sense of calm. Did your thought change?
Well, we're going to go into breakout rooms. I'm going to put some of my regulars on the spot. Vanessa, can you lead a breakout room? Tanis, can you lead a breakout room? We have 14 people, so I'm going to stay on and Linda will lead a breakout room. So 3 breakout rooms, and then I'm going to stay on with Lauren and we're going to talk about it for the people who are watching live. Thank you. So those of you that are watching live, if you join us in our, I'm joining a breakout room too, Lauren? No, I'm staying here. I can't hear you.
All right. Yes, you're staying here and everybody else was sent to a room.
Okay.
They're just taking their minutes to do that. And
okay, no problem.
Spotlight me near you. There we go.
So if you're joining us live stream and you want to know, what are the breakout rooms about? Well, when we do activities on GGTV, Grateful Goddess TV, we go into a breakout room, and it's really nice because it's a smaller group led by featured goddesses, who some of them are regulars that come on the show every Wednesday. The guest, of course, likes to lead a room, and sometimes I lead a room, and we just talk like more intimately. So that's not recorded. But Lauren, you and I are going to talk about it. You're looking at something. You're looking at your dogs.
No, I'm looking at the live stream to make sure it's going.
So let's talk. I felt a difference. I was thinking about one of my kids and just a worry that I'm having. And in my head, it's like this monkey brain of, what about this? And what about that? And what about this and that? And then my heart, it was like love, right? And kind of like comfort. And then in my womb, which of course, you and I have both had babies. So of course I felt my child in my womb, all three of my kids in my womb. And I felt like it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. Like with life and surrender. What about you?
It was similar when I was, when it was up here, it was like a darkness and it was very heavy, and it was, it's similar thoughts. There's just a lot of stress. So it's, the hope that it will get lightened. So that when I moved to my heart, it was a little, my hand was still here. So it was here, but I still felt like the light was being blocked because, I couldn't really see. But by the time it moved lower into my womb, there was a sense of like almost groundedness, like when we do meditations and our feet are grounded.
Yeah.
It was almost, that was the feeling. And like you said, when it was lower down, there was a comfort of like, oh, right, it's going to be okay. Like we're sort of settled. I think very interesting.
I've never done that before.
Me neither.
I liked it because and I'll share this with the group. Like a lot of times there's knee-jerk reactions to things and it's all in our head, and our head is what like rules, the ego and all of the like, how am I going to react to this? Boom, and it's kind of nice to take that breath and be like, okay, let's like do this exercise, move it here and maybe react from here, and then move it there and maybe react from here. Like here was like of love, and then here was like of surrender. Did you feel that?
I did. It was almost like my whole body just went, woo, okay, we got it. Because up in my head, I mean, picking one thought out of all the things that are running around like crazy.
It's hard to pick a thought. It's definitely hard to pick a thought, but that's a good exercise. I didn't even know that she would be doing that. I just, getting out of your head into your heart. And the part where she said, we're going to reconnect with our womb. I'm like, how are the men going to do that? But I liked how she said,
right. Well, because I guess it's, it's still the space, you're just.
And how are women who have had hysterectomies? How are they?
Right. So she included everybody, which is,
yeah, that's
really good.
Nice. That's nice. And
it's very cool. How long did you want it to go for?
How long has it been?
It's been about 2.5 minutes, maybe 3.
We'll let another 3. So you and I are going to chit chat.
That's good. I just want to make sure that's all.
So I can tell people who are watching about our guest next week.
Oh, that would be great.
Yep. Our guest next week is Lara Brodkin.
Oh, yay.
She used to be Pulver. So she's my sister-in-law, and she has her own business called Glow Fit. And it is compound workouts that I've been doing for about 1.5 years now. And she has them on Zoom, and they're, using weights as well as cardio intervals. And what I love, I love my sister-in-law, but what I love about what she's doing and starting her business is she said she was inspired by being on the Grateful Goddess show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
She's just that very positive person. So it's someone who's easy to work with.
So I had asked her if she wanted to be a featured goddess, which for those people who are watching, what is a featured goddess? Well, if you tune into www.gratefulgoddesses.com, you can see many interviews. I think there's like 66 interviews. And I have women who are called featured goddesses, which help ask questions, kind of like The View. You know, we have different views. We have different backgrounds. We have one that's really scientific. She doesn't like when I say it, but she's always like, well, wait, what about this? And what about that?
Right.
One that's more spiritual. And so Lara was one of the featured goddesses and she loved it. Then she got it really inspired she always loved fitness and she wanted to start her own Zoom workouts. And she said that she just felt like she could take that leap. And that was like, wow. And she said, thank you so much for allowing me to be on and to ask questions and feel like it's okay. Like, so what? You make a mistake and people are watching, you know, it's a lesson, you learn from it.
Exactly.
It's a happy accident. And she's been doing great. And so she's going to talk about the health benefits of working out. She's going to show us some exercises we can do at home. And I'm just excited to talk to her just about her business.
Yeah, I do remember the last time, I don't know when she was on, but she was just about to launch.
Yeah.
And it was very exciting. And it's so good to know that it's going strong. And
it's going really well. And it's actually Linda talks in her book about mind, body, spirit connection. And she does have a chapter in here about moving your body. And I forget who it was. Oh, it may have been Peggy Huff who talked about getting out of depression and just even like if you're in bed, just moving your legs around in the bed.
A little bit. I remember. Yes. Yeah. And it's so true.
Yeah.
You know, it's just moving. It's moving.
Walking the dog or just moving, like
literally getting up.
Yeah.
And even if it means putting on a sweatshirt or whatever it is, it's, you know, I remember when the very beginning when my ex-husband left, I had a newborn and I had a 5-year-old to get to kindergarten. So if I could get out the door with the newborn and get her to kindergarten on time, we were doing very well. And that was a good day. And that's about all I accomplished, but it was okay.
No, but I mean,
everybody got where they needed to go, but it was very stressful. And the depression was so easy to jump into.
Yeah.
It took a lot of energy, but thank God sometimes when you have those little people, you know, they sort of push you.
Well, they put you in that mind space.
Yes, they do. Sure. Our group is heading back soon.
Let's come back.
Thank
you for sharing and talking with me. We have our own little back and forth.
It's my pleasure. And now you'll go back and switch with Linda, so she'll be in the spotlight.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just take
Thank you, everyone. I had such a nice chit chat with Lauren. We talked about when we're in our head, Linda, it's like that monkey brain, and it's like you have like that knee-jerk reaction to things, as well as your thoughts, and they can kind of depress you or bring you down. And then when you bring it into your heart, it's like, oh, I can look at this differently. I can look at it in a more loving way. And for me in my womb, it was about surrender, like just, you know, and giving birth, because I've given birth 3 times to new opportunities, to new ideas about what was here. And I'd love to hear from all the other groups. So I will start now with Tanis.
Hi. So we had a great group. And we really, there was a few different scenarios. There were 2 of us that really were able to kind of bring it out, bring it into the heart space. And we found that when it was in the heart space, it got transmuted, like that energy calmed, got transmuted. And when we moved it down into the sacral, the womb space, it was almost like now I can create in a calmer way, right? So creating our own reality. We also discovered, you know, that there's some that we're having more trouble with picking even a thought out of that. So we talked about, you know, maybe it would be easier to have your own timeline for it rather than in a group, right? Just taking the time to, okay, I need to maybe just calm for a moment and then take that racing thought, because it might be easier to find that because we're all in different spaces, right? We're all in a different place on our journey and that kind of thing. So, you know, we talked about that piece. And then there was also the piece that sometimes we carry anxiety in our sacral. and in that gut area.
Mhm.
And so that it transmuted, but then went back into the anxiety for that one. So it's just about the differences in how we all sort of move the energy through our system. And, some of us need to go a little deeper into that root space and ground the energy. But really, overall, it was a very much taking the busyness, we were all in the busy thoughts, and bringing it down to the heart space. And we did notice when we were able to do that, that it was a way of transmuting it and looking at things with more compassion, and sitting in that place for a few minutes was really comforting for everybody.
That's so nice. Have you ever done that in your practice with Twilio Lifestyle Community? Have you ever done that?
I usually ground the energy myself. So that was a different thing for me to hold it in that womb space. Although, when we collect energy and we're holding energy to use energy for something, you'd often collect it in your tantien, right? Which would be that area, that sacral, because that's one of the safest places to hold the energy is in that area, if you're actually going to hold on to it.
Well, it's interesting, Linda, because, I teach young children, and sometimes I do exercises that are like blow out the candles or blow a big bubble, like to get them to breathe. But I'm already like, my mind's going like, oh, I'm going to do something more like preschool, like put it in your brain, and now like bring it into your heart and put it in your belly. I'm going to work on that. I like that. Who else had a group? Vanessa.
Hello. Sorry, guys, we got cut off in our group. We were having an awesome conversation. And I there was some key, we actually all shared what our experience was, and we had similar with this, hamster wheel analogy, but different experiences in the process of taking it, bringing it down. So that was nice to be able to share the different experience that we had. And there were, I don't know if we can name names. I won't name names, but one person felt like it was magic because the concern.
Well, if they want to volunteer, they can share.
One person felt that
that's so nice.
The thing that they plucked had just disappeared, and she used the word magic. So I thought, Linda, thank you to you for being able to provide that
that's great.
for this. And there were the other member, and I'll share what I thought, had a few key phrases that I think if we remember them and just kind of remind ourselves of them, we can all maybe get out of this space more often, to deal with one thing at a time. We don't have to have everything going all at once, to prioritize. And I think to me, this was the one that resonated the most, was don't beat myself up if I don't get everything done. Be kind to yourself. And, in that, and I didn't get to follow up with that, but I, at, 48, only just figured out, instead of putting 50 things on my calendar to try and achieve on a Monday, put 5 things so that you're not moving 45 things from Monday to Tuesday. It's so simple, but until you hear it and see it and have a group of people that are experiencing the same thing that we're all, that you're feeling, that I'm feeling, you're like, thank you for pointing that out, like a light bulb moment. So thank you, Linda, and thank you to my group.
That's awesome. I love the magic. Whoever experienced that, thank you so much for sharing that. Wow. Okay. Linda, how about you?
We had a very small group, but we had a lovely conversation, and it's really about becoming aware of the patterns. This was very much a pattern thought that happens every year. It happens at this time of year. This is the busy period between now and the middle of February. So I need to get it all done. I need to hurry up. Otherwise, my business is going to fail. I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to be begging on the street. I'm going to lose my house. My kids are going to starve. I'm going to have no clothes on. The stories just start to really build up. And so what she found was that helped to move that energy to realize that when you just flood it with love, it feels so much better. And then it will spread all over. It spreads to yourself. And then she felt very powerful to have it in her womb and know, I can handle this. I've handled it every year. I'm handling it better now than ever. The whole big point of this exercise, though, is being aware of our feelings. We can't change, transform, transmute anything if we don't know that we're even feeling it. And you must see that with little kids in class, because they start, certainly they'll start being more aggressive when it's time to feed them. They don't even know they're hungry. They don't know they're hungry or they're thirsty, or they think they're hungry and they're really thirsty. And it's pretty basic human. We don't really know until we mature to the point where we can discern our emotions and understand that we're feeling something and figure out why.
It's so true. Absolutely. And speaking of children, another quote from your book. I love this. It's actually, you quote, hold on, 1988, Robert Fulghum. He published the following poem about values. I just love this. Share everything, play fair, don't hit people, put things back where you found them. That's a big thing I need to work on, by the way. I know my husband's here. I have to work on that. Clean up your own mess, that too. Don't take things that aren't yours. Say you're sorry, when you hurt somebody. Wash your hands before you eat. Flush. Warm cookies and cold milk are good for you, or oat milk or cashew milk or almond milk, if you're not a dairy person, is what I'm going to add. Live a balanced life. Learn some and think some, and draw and paint and sing and dance and play and work every day some. And that includes pickleball, Vanessa, who's like the new pickleball champion of California. When you go out into the world, watch out for traffic. Hold hands and stick together and be aware of wonder. And you quote that, and it's just so beautiful. And I forgot about that. And I had that up in one of my kindergarten classes, mainly for the parents when we had the parent conferences. And I loved that I saw that in your book. You quote many amazing authors, and I highly recommend your book. Well,
it's called Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten.
Yes.
And he's a lovely man. All of my quotes, I approached all of the authors for permission.
Oh, you did?
Quotes. And
wow.
he's just charming and lovely. And he was so thrilled that I had his original book when it was, because I think it was 25 years later that I had a conversation with him. And I use that in my corporate training as the screensaver when people will come in and they're just gathering and getting settled down. And as they sit, that's the first thing they see. Wow. It really sets the tone for the guys on the assembly line, on the tire assembly line. When they see that, it opens their brains for adult learning, because they realize that it's just going to be fun.
Well, they reconnect with their inner child, which is, we all have to remember that. I think I've mentioned this before. I have this little picture of me when I'm 3, and I talk to her whenever I sit at my desk, because it's like, with my crazy hairstyle. I don't know why my mom did that. The 2 ponytails and then the pigtails and the one on the top. But anyway, I talked to her and I'm like, remember her? Like, just no cares, no worries, having fun. Like, that's what I want to be again. Just have fun, get out in the dirt and just have a good time. So we're going to end tonight with a meditation. Before we do that, though, I want to make sure people know how to contact you if they want to order your book or reach out to you for your conferences or your coaching. How can they do that? And then Lauren, can you type it in the chat, please?
Just send me an email, linda@lindababulic.com. And my name is spelled correctly on the screen, so super easy.
Okay, thank you. So you were going to lead us in a closing meditation.
It's, do you want me to do the meditation from the book, the relationship meditation?
Sure. Why, is it too long, or is it?
I think it is too long, but you know what I'd like to do is give it to you as a gift.
Okay.
And I could post the link for it.
Okay. That'd be great.
Okay. What we can do instead is to do the gratitude meditation, which is part of my morning meditation.
Okay.
So we're going to go into a deep space of gratitude. So we need to be in our hearts. Breathing softly and deeply, just relaxing. And think of 3 things that you're grateful for in your life right now, right here. And you may want to write them down or just think of 3 things. And with my 3 things, I always start off with health. I start off with the wealth that I have. Because the more we think about and the more we're grateful for what we have, the more of it will call in. And then I have other things after that. So I always list a minimum of 3 things. The next thing is list 3 things that you're grateful for in your business or in your line of work. 3 things you're grateful for in your business. It could be clients. It could be coaches that you hire. It could be the support that you have. It could be a comment that somebody makes on your Facebook page. It could be every one of us here tonight as part of the Grateful Goddess group. It's whatever you're grateful for in your business. And then the last one, 3 things you're grateful for about yourself. What are you really, really grateful for about yourself? And don't be shy. Nobody's seen what it is. Are you courageous, powerful, determined, polite, neat, tidy? Whatever it is that you're grateful for in yourself. We don't always acknowledge gratitude for ourselves, our determination, our perseverance, our vision, our work ethic, our ability to play. So those are 3 that I do in my meditation every morning. I do 3 gratitudes for something in my life, 3 gratitudes in my business, and 3 gratitudes in my for myself. And yeah, it gets repetitive after a while. I try to be creative with my words, and some things are just consistently there. Tomorrow in my gratitude journal will go Grateful Goddesses. It was there this morning, and it's going to be there again tonight. Tomorrow morning, rather.
Tomorrow morning. And I'm really grateful for you for coming on. I'm grateful that we met. I'm grateful for all of the connections here. I'm grateful also that like many of the people that have come on, the viewers, and I'm looking at everybody in the gallery view, have met each other and have made connections. And that's like what I've wanted. And it's just been such a nice journey, and it's going to continue. I don't know where it's going to go, although I can ask Renata, Michelle, and Tanis to predict, but we'll see where it's, and you too, Linda. But I just wanted to, yeah, because of your intuition, I just wanted to spread love and just, you know, everyone to just find that inner passion, the resilience that you have and the strength that you have. And I just, oh, thank you, Renata. It's just been a really nice journey. And I'm so glad, Linda, we met. And I hope people reach out to get your book, because it's really, really, I mean, so good to just reread. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And I did mention during the breakout room with Lauren, but I'll tell the people here that are joining us, next week is going to be featured goddess Lara Brodkin. She discovered her passion of her fitness business called Glow Fit, and she's going to talk about the health benefits for mind, body, and spirit of working out and feeling the glow that's inside of you. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Let's raise our mugs. I have my little Miss Sunshine mug. Cheers to the zest that we bring into our life. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
If it's not zesty, it's not sustainable.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.